Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Geist, and I am Regional Vice President for Nelson here in the North Bay area, and I am honored to be your host for today's session. I'd like to thank you all for joining us for our continuing program of NELSONtalks events and webinars. Today I have Lisa Johnson joining me to discuss how to create buy-in and align your employees with your company's strategic vision. As we all know, the unemployment rate in California and really throughout the U.S. continues to stay near record lows, and companies are doing just about everything in their power to retain good folks and find excellent candidates. Here at Nelson, we consult with companies really of all sizes and types to build and manage workforces. So we get, my colleagues and I, the opportunity to help a lot of different companies with their recruitment and retention strategies. And one thing we hear a lot is that improving company culture is a goal for a lot of folks. And obviously this is easier said than done, especially when we're all busy in our day-to-day stuff. But the reality is that if our people aren't connected, or at the very least aware of our company's vision and mission, it becomes nearly impossible to keep everyone working together towards the same goals. So today we're going to be focused on the vision component and how to translate your vision into meaningful day-to-day actions. So some key takeaways. Our hope today is that you're going to walk away with a better understanding of vision, mission, values, and the role they play in your company strategy and employee engagement. Some examples of companies who are using these elements well, and a step-by-step plan to facilitate vision creation, buy-in, and adoption with your team. Okay, so here's our agenda for the day. We know obviously how valuable your time is, so we're going to keep our session under an hour today. I'll introduce Lisa, our speaker, here in a second. Lisa's going to handle the main portion of today's discussion and how you can develop and implement an effective and hopefully inspirational company vision. And we'll wrap it up with some time to answer questions at the end. So Lisa Johnson is Nelson's Vice President of Human Resources. Lisa is a creative, innovative executive coach and trainer with over 18 years of HR and management experience. She originally joined Nelson in 2004 and has served in a number of executive HR leadership roles with Nelson and previously with Cisco Systems and ADP. Lisa is certified PHR, and on a personal level, I've worked with Lisa directly, and she is incredibly good at building teamwork, solving problems, and finding solutions. So with that, please welcome Lisa Johnson.
Thank you so much, Jim, for that generous introduction. I feel so much better about myself now. I'm off to a really great start. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar today. I'm very excited to be your presenter on this topic that I think you'll find very, very valuable. I'm going to say up front, I have a little bit of a cold, so I have a little deeper register than normal. Hopefully that'll make my voice just a little more interesting for you. All right, so today I think part of respecting your time is up front talking about what you will learn in the next half hour. What you will learn is the difference between values, goals, and mission as relates to vision. And as Jim mentioned, we're going to focus on the vision, therefore the title, EnVISIOning for your company. I will be successful if you walk away today with a definition of values, goals, mission, and of course vision, and have tools on how to create your vision, the steps that you will need to do that. I think you'll find this very valuable, and we're going to give you examples of why that is. Not just say those words, but back them up with some examples and hopefully some insights for you so you'll feel the value of this exercise. A vision statement is a little bit like a photograph of your future business. It gives you your business shape and direction. So when you're thinking about your vision, you want to think about what will you be recognized for one day. But before we go there, let's take a step back and look at the stepping stones for this. Now, I love this slide. It's a very simple slide, and it's a great visual to get these 4 core principles down. I hear a lot from people, well, vision and mission is the same, or there's no real difference anymore, they don't matter. Well, I'm here to say they do. Why do they matter? Because the vision is where you are going. A lot of people will say, well, what does this have to do with my business? I could easily not have a vision or not have a mission and still be successful. I'd like to respectfully say, in this world of talent shortage, You have a lot of people out there, your top 10%, the people you want in your company and the people you want to keep in your company, they like aspirational visions. They like to be a part of something really important and special. They want to be part of a legacy. That's what a vision gives you. A vision needs to be something that they can live and breathe every day and feel like they are part of something wonderful. Now, your values, you see that bar that goes down the left side. We're going to talk a little more about this. Your values are your compass. Many, many, many companies have values. Your companies may or may not be able to recite them, but you have them. You know what they are. That is the compass. Your goals, that's the first ladder in the step to your vision. It's the how. This is very tactical. It's very time-bound. It's just that. These are the goals. These are the steps and things you're going to do to get to your mission. Your mission is what you do and who you do it for. It's focused in the present, and we're going to talk a little more about that. Your vision is just that. It's the future. It's your legacy. It's where you want to go. A little side note on that, there's a shifting model in these things right now. Much like performance reviews, where the model is shifting to one of continuous feedback, vision is also switching to continuous feedback. And that's what's going to make this presentation today a little more modern and progressive, because we're going to talk about that. For instance, Microsoft, their vision is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. It's a really lofty vision, but you need to think big, and you're going to hear me say this more than once. If your vision doesn't feel too big, it's too small. These visions used to be competitive. They used to be in relationship to another competitor. I'm Adidas and I want to beat so-and-so. Now they are personalized to the vision, to the aspiration of that company. All right. I think a story, I think a visual really helps people get an esoteric idea like this. One of the reasons people avoid vision and mission, quite frankly, don't really understand its value. They don't understand how to fit it into their day-to-day life. Hey, Lisa, I have a million things to do. Creating my vision just hasn't been at the top. Well, let me tell you a story so you can start to prioritize how this would fit into your life and understand the concepts and the principles. So we're going to use the analogy of a family vacation. Our vision for our family vacation is to spend a great weekend camping. We want to go to the lake. We want to swim boating. But if our vision is going to be how I just mentioned, it's going to be lofty and aspirational, I want to go to the Swiss Alps. I want to go big. I want to think very large. My neighbor says, you can't drive to the Swiss Alps. I'm here to tell you, I'm going to the Swiss Alps. I'm starting in a car. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I might need to build a plane, but I'm going to the Swiss Alps. That's my vision. Now, my mission is to drive to the lake so our family at the lake at the Alps can reach the campground and create great memories. This is the who, my family. This is the where. We're going to the campground. That's the mission underneath my big vision that I'm going to go camping. I'm going to drive to the Swiss Alps. Now, I'm going to have some goals, right? That's the first ladder, if you remember my previous slide, to get there. In this situation, we're going to have 5 goals. There's our sporty family car. Our first goal, these are tactical. Book the campground. Going to give it a date. Remember, these are time-bound. We're going to pack by a certain date. We are also going to leave home by a certain time. We are also going to get some change. We're going to anticipate some problems. We might drive through snow. It is the Alps, after all. And lastly, we want to reach our destination by a certain time. Our values, our compass, drive safely, use seatbelts, share the driving responsibility. So, as you can see, we have 5 goals that support our mission and our vision. And these values are what I call the bumper on the side of the road. It keeps us navigating to the right direction. That's our compass. So why are these important? What happens if I don't have a mission or I have a weak mission? Well, guess what? Nobody's getting in that car. You don't have what you need packed, or you're not moving at all. In real life, with your companies right now, that means silos, disagreements, miscommunication, the dreaded stagnation, flailing attempts, wasteful resources. Does any of this sound familiar? A mission can help you with that. That tells the what and the who what they're doing. Now, what if I have a mission, but I don't have a vision, or my vision is weak? Well, that results in no grounded purpose for innovation to get to my destination. That's going to have a really big impact on you in many, many ways. This means outdated processes. This means moving without intent. That is really critical. If we're going to keep that talent, we need them to feel inspired, not lost. Now, let's look at an example. Amazon. I'm sure you're familiar with Amazon. Maybe you have a lovely Amazon box waiting for you at home. I probably do myself. Love getting those boxes. It's like Christmas every day. All right, Amazon. They have a mission to offer their customers the lowest possible prices and the best available selection with the utmost convenience. Their vision? To be the Earth's most customer-centric company, where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online. Before I discuss this, let's look at our example number 2, because they both kind of nicely create a synergy about what we're talking about. Southwest, great company. Their mission? To provide the highest quality of customer service delivered with a sense of warmth, friendliness, individual pride, and company spirit. Look at their vision. To become the world's most loved, most flown, and most profitable airline. You think the Swiss Alps is ambitious? I'd argue that this is one of the most ambitious visions I've seen. To become the world's. Did you notice that Amazon is the Earth? They do not think small. Companies that want to, quote, go somewhere, they challenge themselves to think big. And let's say, what's the worst that can happen? They don't hit the world? I guarantee you they will get farther with this vision and mission if they didn't have one. Think big. I'll say it again. If your vision is not lofty, it's probably too small. Visions can be powerful. Getting up to those Swiss Alps, what's that all about? Now, a vision is only as good as the people who act on it. You must live and breathe it. They are just words on a page unless you put them into action. When it's backed by a dedicated group of people striving for a shared goal, it really unites an organization. It is really important. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but it's powerful because you live it. A stagnated vision is actually detrimental. We're here to tell you and help you that if you keep it alive, it will increase your business. It will increase your retention. It will increase and create a sense of purpose and achievement and measurable results. Okay, let's get down into the nitty-gritty. Let's discuss the steps to creating your vision. Essentially, there are 5 that we're going to discuss today, and you can see them up here. We want to prepare and reflect. We're going to develop. This means the participation. The who is going to be participating in creating our vision. We're going to implement it. And with that, that means we need to get buy-in. We're going to maintain it. And with that, it means we need to get feedback. And then we're going to reevaluate it. It's a living, breathing thing. Remember, the old model was competitive. The new model, you reevaluate and you adapt. So preparing for your vision, let's talk a little bit about that. Your values. If you remember what I said, your values are your compass. It's this information. These are guiding things. It's the map. It's the where we're going to go. It's the why. You need to prepare for your vision by starting with your values. Now, most of you probably have them. If you don't, it's an opportunity for you to create them. Now, your values, they're also part of your strategic goals. They're where your company will be. Your strategic goals is where will your company be if you accomplish those goals. So part of reflecting and considering your values is to talk about recent accomplishments. I've got my values. Now let's bring them into the current time. What has your company done recently that you can leverage as an accomplishment? Maybe you didn't have a vision, but you guys have reached some heights. You've done some amazing things. You want to leverage that information. You want to make sure that your stakeholders, your board or executive teams, understand this process before you start it. The process we're about to tell you of writing your vision with a subgroup, then having a larger group refine it. You want to talk to those stakeholders. You want to make sure, one, they understand the value of having this vision, and of course the values and the mission and the goals that support it. But talk to them first. If you don't have their buy-in in the beginning, you definitely won't have their buy-in in the end. Prepare for your vision. You need to prepare with a team. You start with a small team, actually. You need to determine who you will involve. Now, the reason why we aren't dictating who that is, every company is a different size. It's a different group, different organization. We would encourage you to start with a small draft writing team, 3 or 4 people. They are going to create a vision based on their 15-minute writing exercise, and we're going to give you a guide that actually will detail all these steps. But let me tell you the first step. You're going to pick these folks. I highly encourage you to pick somebody that represents your employees. We'll get back to that a little bit later about that employee feedback, but your employees are going to have to live this vision. You want that feedback. You want the participation in the beginning. So pick 3 to 4 people, and you're going to start with a writing exercise for them. You're going to give them the opportunity to do 15 minutes and write down a vision. We keep it small and intuitive because if people overthink it, if they get too analytical, it doesn't quite come out right. So you're preparing the subcommittee of writers to draft. Put themselves in the future. Think visionary. Don't edit. Come from the gut. There should be representatives of tenure and also new employees if you have them, and a stakeholder. So that's 3 people right there. And of course, whoever's facilitating could be HR, operations, CEO, just depends. This small subcommittee is tasked to write a vision each, a simple statement like the ones you saw for Southwest and Amazon, no holds barred, no judgment, just put down what they think the vision should be. Now, to prepare for success, you're going to edit. You're going to gather the troop. You're going to draft your recommendation of a final vision before you prepare to meet with a larger group. Now, this is important. You've had your exercise with your people, your subcommittee. Now you want to get ready. You're going to create a larger group, maybe 6 to 8 people. Now you can include more stakeholders, another employee representative, and take your recommended draft from the 3 or 4 small drafts you've got. This is your suggested vision that the larger group is going to review. Now, you're going to have to distribute a worksheet. You want to have organization. You want to have measurable processes for everybody. We have a guide that's going to be available to you after this call. It's a really great guide. It'll show you what I'm talking about here because, of course, it's hard to remember all these pieces as I'm speaking, but it will talk to you about doing this kickoff meeting. Now you have all your participants. You have a worksheet. You're going to discuss and sign. You're going to look at your mission, if you have one, the vision you want to create, and you're going to work through that with that group to come up with a final draft. Be prepared for approval. After you come up with this final vision, you're going to go back to those stakeholders. You're going to remind them of how you got there. You're going to remind them of the participants and how you went about this and why it has value. Now, you're going to implement it. This is a really important stage. This is to, as we talked about, you have talent out there. You want to keep them. They like aspirational visions. They want to feel like they're part of something important, something special, maybe have a legacy. To your employees, you're going to have to explain the process. You don't want to just send an email and say, hey, everybody, here's our new vision. That won't get the buy-in that you would like. So we encourage you to use multiple communication methods. And by that, I mean, yes, you will have a kickoff. You may decide to use posters. You may, yes, have an email or a webinar. We encourage to have a live kickoff. Most important, though, you need to have your managers in there maintaining this vision, keeping it alive, clearly and regularly communicating the impact. Bring everything back to the vision. When they have one-on-ones, when they have performance reviews, when you talk about your quarterly review, keep the vision alive. Foster alignment throughout your organization. It's going to motivate if you live and breathe it. Now, reevaluating vision. This is kind of new. This is very modern progressive thinking. Used to be somebody would make a vision and then keep it forever. Example that comes to mind is Google. Google has a great vision statement. It's to provide access to the world information in one click. It's a great, great vision. But their mission was written when they were launched in 1998, and it says to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Kind of dies off with that. They've admitted they haven't done this since 1998. They need to redo their mission. So even you're in good company. Even big companies like Google realize it's no longer something that stays static. These are things that need to stay alive. So refresh them when necessary. Consider other strategic plan components. If your mission and goals change, or you adjust how you measure progress, your vision needs to be updated. And let's face it, companies have obstacles. Perhaps, we're on our trip to the Alps, there's an earthquake. We're going to have to divert. We're going to have to take a different path. We're going to have to adjust to that. So reevaluate your vision. Now, as you know, repetition is learning. Jim, I know you're in there listening to this. We use this all the time. We repeat a key point. These are the 5 key points. You're going to prepare by reviewing your current values, your current aspirations and achievements. You're going to develop them, a small group of people, creating a suggested vision. Then you're going to take that to your larger group. They're going to create a final vision, and you're going to implement it. You're going to communicate it. You're going to keep it alive. You're going to maintain it out there. Your management and leaders are going to draw back to it every opportunity they have. And if something comes up, you're going to reevaluate to make sure it stays alive. Now, this information is going to be encapsulated in a really great way on our worksheet, and we will give that to you as well. We're also always available for questions. If you go through this and you're like, I have a question about this later, maybe not one that you're going to submit today. But I hope you found this valuable. Visions are very powerful. As Jim mentioned, we are rather in a talent shortage. And I can tell you that the really great employees, they like to be inspired. They like to feel like they are moving towards something big. Why do you think that many times, maybe some of you suffer that these larger companies are outbidding you for these employees? Of course, there's monetary gains, but many of them want to be part of something special. Make your company special. Work on your vision. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Jim.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. That was perfect. I hope everyone found this enlightening and helpful. There's a question for you here, Lisa. So we already have a vision. Our executive team and board loves it. Team seems to kind of roll their eyes when it gets brought up. How do I reintroduce a vision?
That's a fabulous question. I think a real problem that a lot of people have. Again, it goes back to how valuable is that vision. I think you have to be fiercely honest with your process. I would first look to see if your employees, do you have employees rolling eyes? Were they involved in the creation of it? If they weren't, then you definitely want to revisit it with their input. If they don't see the value, if you don't understand how to communicate the value to them, they won't see it. That said, I have to tell you, silence is not golden with visions. You want feedback. Even complaining, even eye rolling is feedback. People are engaged. Now that sounds a little counterintuitive, but we've all had the cricket silence from our employees. That's worse. If you're getting any kind of feedback, view it as a gift. You're going to leverage that. You're going to talk to those people directly. What makes you roll your eyes at our vision? Get their feedback. Talk to them about it. When you incorporate it and revamp it, make sure everybody knows that you talk to those people. That's how you get the buy-in.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so here's another question that we've got. Do you suggest working with an external consultant to go through the process, or is this something that's better led in-house? What are your thoughts?
That's a good question, too. A lot of smart people on the phone. I think it's always good to start with the company because it's a good practice for the company to learn how to do this. And if you don't really understand what your core delivery is, what your competitive advantages are, where your strengths are, you're going to discover them or you're going to discover your weaknesses as you do this. So that's a learning process that's very valuable for leadership and employees to do. you have to be concise. You have to get focused. You'll find out if your company's not able to do that by doing this process. That said, some companies really have communication issues, really have issues around focus and clarity. If you start to do this process and it really falls apart, yes, get outside help. There's facilitators who can help you with this. But remember, make the attempt, because through the attempt, you're going to learn a lot about your company.
Okay. And I've got another one here. What if we go through the process and the executive team doesn't agree on what your vision should be? What do we do then?
Well, that boat has sailed, before it leaves dock, you got to make sure they're on board. That's sort of like one of the points we talked about. It's a step that's missed, and it's sad because you get all this enthusiasm, you do this vision, you bring it back to your board, and they're like, meh, this is not what we want. You got to start with them. You start with the stakeholders before you get that subcommittee going. You talk to these people. You make sure they're on board. You make sure maybe use a representative of them as well if they're really that invested. At minimum, let them know the process and that you're going to circle back to them. Get them to either empower you or participate.
Okay. Awesome. And it looks like that is it for the questions. Oh, okay. So, sorry, guys. We're going to give one more question here. If you have multiple owners, like a partnership kind of thing, how do you herd them towards one vision in a culture that really privileges each being able to practice as they want to? Say, like an engineering firm or a law firm partnership, that type of scenario.
Well, you could get super creative. I mean, it's not traditional. You could have many visions and one arcing vision. I have seen that. It's very unusual. It's a little harder, of course, to juggle. But when you're in a very creative or very much a startup environment, or you want to break through boundaries, why not? Create an arching vision. You will have to get everybody to do that. Your vision's going to get much more generic. For instance, Disney does this. Disney's is to make everyone happy, or thereabouts. That's a huge arching. It's one statement. They have subvisions underneath that, depending on the park or the department. So you can accommodate that. But again, what you'll find out, which is great for this question, is how connected, how much synergy do your groups have? There does need to be a common thread. So with Disney, it's to make everybody happy. That's a huge goal. That's a very ambitious goal, but it is very generic, and it will fit into any sub-goal of their other committees. So create an arching one, and then have sub-ones underneath that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right. And I think that's it for questions. If you do have other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Lisa. I think our contact information here is available to you. On behalf of Lisa, myself, everyone here at Nelson, we'd like to thank you for attending today's event. If there's anything we can do to help, don't hesitate to reach out to us, myself, Lisa, or anyone at Nelson if we can help in any way. Again, please be on the lookout for our email with downloadable resources and a link to our survey. And thanks so much for joining us this morning. Everyone have a great day, and we hope to see you at our next NELSONtalks event.
Thanks everyone.
So much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.